Hey everybody, it's Alec here back at it again with another episode of the Smashing Brands podcast. And today I am joined by
Sari Kimble.
Sari. I appreciate you being here, and I'm excited to have a wonderful conversation with you.
Amazing. Thanks for having me.
You're so welcome. So, first question I like to ask is, how do you spend your time on planet Earth?
Well, a lot of it's coaching, which is definitely in my zone of genius. Food is definitely a big area for me. So
Mhm.
a little bit in business, but also just in life. I love going to farmers markets and putting together seasonal stuff in the kitchen and getting creative that way. It's definitely a creative outlet for me.
Yeah,
Cooking or eating out,
got it.
anything to food. And like I mentioned, or before we start recording, I'm on a year of adventure, so I am traveling quite a bit right now.
So, okay, well, let's start with that. What inspired this year of adventure?
Yes. So I call myself a reinvention coach, and people are like, "Well, what do how do you help people reinvent?" And then like, "What have you done? How do you reinvent yourself?" And
Uh-huh.
so I turned 49 last summer, and I was like, I need to go do something for this.
Hmm.
So I feel like it's kind of a mini reinvention. It's using the tools and all the things that I've been using over the years,
Yeah.
coaching my clients to say, I'm going to use this on myself and like actually do a reinvention on purpose, an
Yeah.
intentional thing, and show that this stuff works. So so I decided to do it. I originally wanted to spend my 50th birthday in France for 3 months. And as I was thinking about, okay, like I better start planning. This is coming. Like this isn't years in the future. This is next year. I was like, well, why couldn't I do this longer? Why not do a whole year of this? So I
Yeah.
did. I did the mountains above Golden, Colorado, and then Costa Rica for 3 months. And I'm in Seattle right now, and then France this summer.
Okay. Cool, cool. So all of this reinvention, working with your clients, all that. I mean, I haven't I've talked to a lot of coaches, like many coaches, and it seems like a big theme, obviously, you have a book around it and all that, is reinventing yourself. So, and most people that just like build their coaching around a certain framework, there's something that like happened in their life or multiple things that inspired it. So like was there like a pivotal time in your life where you were like, I need to reinvent myself, and that became like later the focus of your whole life? And like what was that moment?
Yes, 100%. Absolutely. You were absolutely right. We teach what we most need to learn, right? Or
Uh-huh.
or
Okay.
like what we went through and how we got through it. So, um, I have always been a reinventor. I've reinvented myself several times in my
Hmm.
20s and 30s, but I like to say 2015 is the year I blew up my life, and I literally separated from a 10-year marriage on New Year's Eve of 2014. So 2015, I woke up and I was separated. I then, moved in with my stepmom into her basement. I, I like to say like all my identities went out the window. I wasn't a
Yeah.
wife. I wasn't a dog owner. I wasn't a homeowner. I turned 40 that summer, and then I got laid off. So
Mm.
everything. It was like complete, from scratch. And while some people are like, "Oh my gosh, that sounds like the worst thing," and it was hard, don't get me wrong, but it was an opportunity for me to reinvent and say, what is it that I really want, and who do I want to be in this, next decade of my life? And so, reinvented into an entrepreneur and reinvented myself, you know, just solo and becoming a better friend and then becoming a coach and really, I think, and ultimately, I think the reinvention is, and this is something that when people ask me, like, well, you know, can you help me with this? Can you help me with this? It's like, I can help you with all of it, right? Whether it's a parent passing away or a diagnosis or your kids moving out or a layoff or like, there's so many ways that we reinvent. But I think the biggest reinvention is the relationship with yourself. And
Hmm.
it's reinventing the unworthiness to
Hmm.
worthiness, to like I am enough and I deserve and I can go after my desires.
Okay. Very insightful. So, huh, we can go pretty deep down that rabbit hole, but like, I guess like when did you start your coaching?
So I became a life coach in 2021. I actually started a whole other online program and business in the packaged food industry.
Yeah.
And I was doing a lot of business coaching and consulting. And I was getting really frustrated of like, why won't they do the things that I'm telling them to do? I'm giving
Mhm.
them the exact path and as I was doing my own personal growth,
Oh,
it was
no.
like, oh, well, of
People get
course,
it a
like
different way. Yeah.
it's a mindset thing. It's
I
not,
totally
it's not the doing
totally.
of the thing. And so I went and got certified and so officially started taking one-on-one clients and more of the coaching in that direction.
Okay, so interesting. So you have a CPG, is it like a marketing agency kind of?
So it's called Food Business Success, and
Uh,
it's really to help people who have that delicious idea and they want to turn it into a product at farmers markets or get on store shelves or sell on their
yeah.
own website. And so I went through and still am like all the entrepreneurship challenges and ultimately, I needed life coaching and business coaching and all of those things to overcome my challenges and still do, right? The problems never end in
Right.
business. And yeah, so I kind of started in a niche around CPG and then I was like, you know what? This works for anything. And I want to open it up, my coaching to a broader audience, broader client base, and it just makes it more interesting for me, to not just be talking about CPG all the time.
Yeah, I just find it interesting because you're like, okay, like the people that I'm working with are not getting the results because they're not listening to me. Like a lot of people in that instance would be like, well, I'm just gonna focus on other people. But you're like, no, I want to like better understand what's going on here, and that's kind of like what inspired you to build another sort of coaching business on top of it to solve a different kind of problem that these people were having.
Yeah.
Is that
Well,
right?
and ultimately it was also to solve my own problem in that, you know, eh, being an
Mm-hmm.
online program content creator. I had a book and I have a podcast and a YouTube channel and you're a membership and this online course and you're hustling, 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 right?
Yeah.
It's like you got to get people in the funnel and then you got to do all the things. And in 2020, fall 2022, I was really headed towards burnout. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I cannot keep going this way. And
Yeah.
I was shooting for, $1 million business and like go, go, go. And I was starting to hate my business. And so I took a step back and said, what would I really love to do? I would really love to coach a broader variety of clients. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
all the same. It all works the same, right? It's just
Yeah.
like I what I'm really good at is helping people create a vision open
Yeah.
up to possibilities, and then you just work backwards from that, and then you deal with all the limiting beliefs and all the obstacles and all the mindset stuff that come up along the way.
Yeah.
And so I said, you know what? I want to create a new coaching business that's not industry specific, and I'm not going to do any of the stuff that they tell you you should do, right? The shoulds. I'm like, I don't know if I can swear on this podcast, but I'm gonna F the shoulds.
Mhm.
And all I did was join some quality networking groups in Denver around entrepreneurship. And I did start a podcast, but I wasn't even like, I have to put a podcast out every single week. And then I have to write an email about it. And I was like, nope, I'm not doing any of that. I'm just going to put a podcast out for me, something I'm learning about, something I'm excited about. I'm not even gonna, I don't even have an email list. Like I'm not doing anything the right way, you know? I just want to do it like how it feels good. And I've built a very successful coaching practice just on that, through building
Mhm.
relationships. And so it allowed me to bring in to more balance with my other, my other business is still going, but I was able to outsource more, bring in some who's to help support me, drop some of the expectations and, unrealistic goals that I was putting on myself,
Yeah.
and then have more balance where I am getting to coach, which is really my true gift.
Yeah, absolutely. And I spoke with a coach, I don't remember when it was, a few weeks ago, all about flow, and
Mm,
doing things that feel good. Actually, I kind of had that conversation with a lot of people, to be honest, a lot of coaches that I talk to. But I want to know, like, what were like, so yeah, you built this new coaching offer. I'm kind of the same way. Like, I've always been in like similar skill set, just like different offers for different kinds of people and stuff like that. Like, what was it? So you're like, hey, I only want to market myself in a way like that feels good, that I like, all that. So like, what do you feel like from like a strategy standpoint? Like you're like, oh, I put out a podcast or I started YouTube videos. But it's like this stuff like generally takes really like it takes time to grow and stuff like that. But you did it relatively quickly. So what do you feel like has been the most effective, and why do you think it's worked?
I think it all comes down to relationships and partnerships.
Yeah,
Not seeing yourself in competition with people,
yeah,
but seeing yourself in collaboration. Um, whether it's coaching or any other business, like we're probably small enough businesses that the more that we can all support each other, right? There's that all like the tides rise for
yeah,
everyone. And so I do think a lot of it is, being willing to ask for help, willing to ask for referrals.
yeah,
I lead with generosity. And that's another piece of, I've always done that in my other business as well. But when I
yeah,
started Reinvent coaching, I was like, I'm gonna give away a free coaching call, and I still do. I do lots of free calls that are truly coaching. It's not a discovery call, it's a coaching
yeah,
call.
mhm,
And oftentimes people leave and they're like, okay, I'm good for a while. Like, I got so much value. I know what to do next. And I'm like, great.
yeah,
And if you need me later, I'm here. And so
mm,
I lead with generosity. I really try to collaborate and I build relationships and
yeah,
offer tons of value up front.
I love it. So, what do you feel like? What are the in your book? What are the parts that I know you're excited about all of it, but what are like the main things that stand out in that book?
Yeah. Yeah, so I published the Reinvent book here
Mhm.
in January, and at first, so I was actually in Costa Rica when it came out, and so I didn't even get to like hold it in my hands until, 3 months, a couple
That's
months after
amazing.
it'd been
Yeah, yeah,
been published. Um, and when I did, I was like, oh, it's kind of thin compared to like my other book or some other
hmm
books out there.
Yeah.
And and then I was asking people who, friends and clients and other people who had bought it, and I was like, do you think I need to like add more to it? And overwhelmingly, I kept hearing people say, thank you. Thank you for not writing this like super dense book that I have to
Yeah.
wade through all this stuff. Like, this is more of a field guide and more of just like super practical, my stories in there, but it just gets right into it. And I guess at the heart of it, that's kind of my coaching style anyway.
Good.
So I just decided to lean into it. Like, this is something you can finish. This is doable. So I love that about the book. And I would say what I really am excited about and I love to talk about is possibility. Right? I call myself a possibilitist. It's
Mm.
like I think that's one of my gifts is people think way too small for their lives. And we just aren't given permission and a space to play around in possibility. And
Hmm.
so on coaching calls, depending on what they want to work on, but I'll say, what are 10 possibilities for your life that you actually want? And,
Yeah.
or we're trying to imagine a bigger future. And oftentimes at the end, they'll say something like, man, I'm kind of embarrassed of how small I thought I was thinking about what was possible when we first started coaching, like when we first started in the call, and then where we get to, right? Where it's like expansive and like all of these, there's so many more possibilities for people out there. And I
Mm.
truly believe that if you have a desire in your heart and in your spirit, that it's possible for you to make it come true. Like,
Yeah.
there's no reason why you can't. I mean, I don't have a desire to run a marathon. And so, therefore, I am not going to go and pursue that. But if that's your desire, we can totally do that, right? Or, like, I was coaching a woman the other day and I said, what's one possibility? And she's like, I want to own a plant store. And like, she had this very dialed in dream, but she had never given herself permission to even think about it as a reality.
Yeah. I think it's kind of challenging because a lot of time we have desires, but like, are those desires authentic to us, right? Because I might,
That's
there's many things that I've wanted in my life, and I was like, you know what? Like, while going along this path, I'm like, that's actually not what I want. So I'm curious, like, what did you feel like was a strong desire in your life that you wanted, but then you realize, hey, maybe I want something else. And
right.
along that, how do you discover what you truly want from an authentic standpoint?
Yeah. No, that's a great question. I mean, I thought in my 20s and 30s that, well, certainly in my 20s, that I thought I had a strong desire to be married. I had a strong desire. And I didn't get married till I was 30. And so I spent all of my 20s like desiring a marriage, desiring a relationship that
Yeah.
led to marriage. And you're absolutely right. There are a lot of desires that get put into us, pre-programmed,
Yeah.
right? Like society, patriarchy, religion, family, like
Social
media,
media.
marketing, social media. And I do really work with clients to say, why do you want that? What is that like? I don't care what it is. If you want, some ridiculous car or some whatever, some trip to anywhere you want to go, it's like, why?
Mm.
And you got to like your reason,
Yeah.
And
Right.
so checking in with yourself of the why, because anytime we desire stuff because we think it's going to make us feel better or we're going to be happy all the time, that's not the right reason. And so yeah, some coaching is about getting, forcing those questions to clients to have those, those conversations so we can drill into why do you want this? Is this because your parents wanted this for you, or is this because you wanted it? You truly want it for you. So, um, we can certainly make our desires come true that are even pre-programmed into us, but you know that it's probably not the thing that you truly wanted because when you finally get it, you're still not happy all the time because that's not the
Yeah.
way life works,
Yeah.
you know? And I decided on this whole year of adventure, this was a desire of mine. I'd always wanted to, I've been in Colorado for a long, long time, and January and February are my least favorite months. They're cold and gray and snowy usually. And I've had a desire for years to be in a tropical climate, right? And I was like, what if I could? And I played into possibility and how could I do that? And I did it. And you know what? You can go to paradise, Costa Rica, and it doesn't mean you're not going to have bad days. Doesn't mean you're not going to wake up some days and feel like crap. And,
Yeah.
like you're never going to be happy all the time. But um, there was still a sense of like, even in the 50-50 of life,
Mhm.
like this is really fulfilling that, this I'm achieving my desire. That feels great.
Absolutely. So, just out of curiosity, though, like, why did you decide to go to Seattle, of all places?
I know. My friends are questioning my sanity as well. It's going to Seattle in March and April. So, so my best friend lives here, and I actually have a number of girlfriends that live in the Seattle area. And
Yeah.
she moved to Seattle, I don't know, 12 years ago or so. And so we've never, we have not been in the same kind of
Got it.
vicinity
Okay.
of each other for 12 years.
Yeah.
And so when I was thinking about, this year of adventure, what would really like fill my heart is
Yeah.
to be able to spend, more of that like, hey, let's go, like last night we went to an event together and it was so
Uh-huh.
special. I was just sitting next to her thinking like, we haven't been able to, we haven't done this for a long time. Now, yes, March and April in Seattle is challenging, I will say.
But it serves
It's
its own
sunny
purpose.
today, so.
Yeah. Yeah, but I understand. Yeah, if you have amazing friends, I mean, I think that's one of the biggest keys to happiness. It's just being around the right people,
Yeah,
friends,
I think that's
connections,
key.
that sense of community,
Yeah.
all of that. How do you feel like, hmm, how do you get in touch with yourself? Like we talk about, oh, what is authentic to us and what's not? Like, if somebody's, let's say, contemplating a big decision in their life, like what steps would you give them to figure out what they want to do and maybe if they should do that or not?
Yeah. And I do talk about this in the book because I think it's very important to get in touch with your personal yes or no. So,
Mm,
one of the exercises I do with my clients is have them imagine like, where has it been a heck yes in their life where they have just been like somebody said, "Hey, do you want to do this?" Or, maybe it is getting married or having kids or taking a job or whatever it is. And they're just like, "Yes, I feel that like all the way in my soul,
mm,
down to my toes." And that's like a 10. And then I ask them to think about when's a time when, somebody asked you to take them 2 hours to the airport Sunday, and you were like, that's a no, or whatever it is, right? That's a hard no for me. So I asked them to, get in touch with like in your body. How does that make you feel one way or the other? And so you have a 1 and you have a 10. And then when we get into, okay, what is that decision that you're making and seeing where that lies on that scale?
yeah.
Because so much of it we want to get into our head, we want to like reason it out and the pros and the cons and all of these
Hmm.
things, and sometimes we do need more information.
Yeah.
100%. I've been trying to make some decisions about when do I want to go back to Colorado and where do I want to stay and this and that, and it just felt murky. I just couldn't get a read on it,
Yeah.
and I needed more information, and sometimes you also just need a little more time to kind of let things play out. And so it's okay if it's like signal unclear, but
Mm,
that maybe means like don't make a decision. Don't make a decision when signal's unclear,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like be willing to wait it out even when it's a little uncomfortable. But registering like if it's more in the th 1 to 3 range, like that's just a no, right? And a maybe is a no.
Yeah.
And then if it's more in the 7 to 10 range, like then that's a yes. And then everything in between, you probably need some more information before you can
Mhm.
really make a decision.
Do you feel like more people struggle with saying yes to things or no to things?
Mm. I think by nature we tend to say no to things that feel hard or that might, challenge us. Um, even and opportunities, I think, fall into that category. So I think our default is kind of a no. Um, I think we probably say yes to things that are people pleasing too
Mhm.
quickly,
Yeah.
right? So things for us, opportunities, there's lots of I've gotten really good at um understanding that I may put out some possibilities for people and they're usually going to be a quick, no, that won't work. No, I couldn't do that. No, 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 but I'm just planting a seed. I'm like,
Yeah.
maybe, okay, just sit with it, right? And like,
Yeah.
then their brain starts kind of like going into, well, what if it is possible? And give it some time, right? But I think where we need to pause and really do those check-ins is when it's a request from somebody in our friends and family group and or social, right? And the people pleasing stuff.
Right, absolutely. What do you feel like has been your favorite client success story?
Oh my gosh, I should have been prepared for that one. Because there's I hate to be like, it's so cheesy. There's so many. But um I
It can be
think
fun.
it's around I was talking to a client who we just do more like maintenance now because she's just taken this stuff and run with it. And she went from like super stressed out she's a realtor and um was so worried about maybe if her team left her and everything was going to fall apart. And over the course of coaching over, I don't know, a year and a half, she's just like, I just like she ended up letting go of somebody on her team that she at the beginning was like, I could never live without this person.
Yeah.
And she's like, we've taken care of business and made decisions and really set up for success in her personal life with her husband. And um, so yeah, it's just like she's a completely different version of herself. And the confidence and the capability and now she's going out and challenging herself in new ways and it's just so
Right.
fun to watch. So fun to watch.
Who do you think, on this topic of reinvention, who do you think has made like the biggest transformation?
Mm. Mm. I think it's like I said, I think it's ultimately a reinvention with your personal self. And it's the clients that come in. I think I see some of the biggest transformation, frankly, around some of the buffering that we do and the anxiety that a lot of people feel.
Mm,
So the ways that we try to stop the anxiety around with maybe over drinking, overeating, shopping, like
yeah.
just overdoing things that increase our dopamine, but ultimately leave us feeling more anxious
Mhm.
and more flat afterwards. And I think that those are some of my favorite and the biggest transformations because it's not necessarily like, oh, they went out and they created this whole big, new company or, changed jobs and sometimes and those things happen, but it's that reinvention with the relationship with self and to see clients that are like, I went to a party and I was nervous and anxious and I didn't overdrink. And I used these tools and I was able to calm myself and provide myself safety. And I woke up the next day and I didn't have a hangover and I wasn't beating myself up and I was, like perpetuating more anxiety. Like
Right.
if we can change that worthiness conversation from inside, like I feel like that's how we change the world.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because everything external is a reflection of our internal world, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And then we're kinder to ourselves and we're kinder to our partners and we're kinder to our friends and family and at work and and we're just calming our nervous system and we're not just trying to like feel good in the moment with things that make us feel worse later,
Yeah.
that then we can actually use that energy to do good in the world, to be
Mm-hmm.
better at your work or serve, more people in your business or
Yeah.
on, right?
Yeah, and I'm a big fan of frequency too, and it's like energetics and frequency and just like tapping into different possibilities, like we've spoken about, right? So, yeah, I think it really does come back to how we look at ourselves and the things we do every day. And I have one last question for you, Sari.
Okay.
Let's say it's the end of your life, you've done everything that you wanted to, but for whatever reason, everything is gone. There's no podcast, there's no book, nothing like that. But you have a megaphone and you can talk to the entire world. And you can share three things that you know to be true about the world around you. What are they?
Hmm. Well, I think the first one is you are worthy, you are enough just as you are. You don't need to perform your
Yeah,
way to love like you are. It's just, I mean, that was my personal struggle for so long, for 45 years. So,
yeah,
and the freedom and the possibility that's opened up through changing that relationship. So, with myself. So, I would say, yeah, just you are enough, you are worthy. And like, I just really want like a magic wand that
hmm,
could like just instantly change that conversation
yeah,
inside people's heads. Um, I think the second thing would be kind of what we talked about earlier of just like, what do you want? Really tapping into you and your personal desires and not based on any outside influences. And getting
hmm,
really like being willing to go within and get calm and still and like what is it you want? If you weren't
hmm,
afraid of people pleasing, if you weren't afraid of the money and well, do I have that and the
yeah,
scarcity and stuff, just like what is it you want?
hmm,
And then the third thing I'd say is just it's like I don't know what's coming up for me is allowing yourself to rest, allowing
hmm,
yourself to reconnect with yourself to like you are worth it. And I coach. I am a recovering perfectionist and overachiever, and so
yeah,
I coach a lot and just giving ourselves the gift of some rest and restoration. And the gold stars, they don't add up to anything. And so
right,
permission to rest.
right. That was very insightful, Sari. I appreciate you sharing all of your wisdom and knowledge on this podcast. So, where can the people find you?
Yeah, so the website is reinventioncoach.co. And the book, you can go to reinventbook.me. I'm also on Instagram, Sari Kimble Coaching. And then the podcast is called Reinvent with Sari Kimble. So,
Cool. Well, thanks again for being on the show. I really enjoyed this.
my pleasure. Thank you.